Hello everybody, welcome back. Andre here, and today I'll show you how to make some amazing sounding complex chords with zero effort. Trust me, you won't even have to try. As a matter of fact, at the beginning of the video, all you need to know how to do is how to strum a C major chord and how to play a power chord. And if you don't know how to do that, let me show it to you. C major and E fifth or E power chord. That's all you need to know. We're not going to get into any theory today, but basically the reason a chord sounds like it does is because it's made up of notes that are at a certain distance or interval amongst themselves. If you change those intervals, the quality of the chord changes. For anything more than this, you can check out this video. It's about every single guitar chord out there. It's a bit long, it's about 8 hours and a half, I think, but certainly worth your time. And if you want to know how to name chords in more depth, here's another suggestion for you. The reason I mentioned the fact that intervals are responsible for the sound of a chord is because today we're actually going to subvert that and try to break those bonds to make some new sounds. If you remember your first music lesson when your teacher showed you bar chords, he said or she said not to just move your fingers along the strings, but use the bar to maintain the sound of the chord. And that's all very good, but today we're actually going to do what your teacher said not to do, which is to simply move it around and disregard completely the open strings. So let's take our C major chord and play it here. We notice that we have a root, a major third, E, we have the G, the perfect fifth, and then we repeat the root and the third, C and E. This group of notes gives us the sound of a major chord. And that's very simple. If we wanted to have a D major chord, we have to move the whole thing up, including the open strings. And so this would give us a D major chord, and we can keep going up with major chords and major chords. But what if we forget to bar the open string? Well, let's see what happens. Let's go up 2 frets to D. Such a beautiful chord, but certainly not a major chord. Well, what is this? Well, this is a wonderful chord that has both a 9, the E, and the 4th, the G. So this is basically a D major 11 chord. Such a beautiful chord and so simple, right? You can just play it here and strum it. Now, what if I had gone up only 1 fret to C sharp or D flat? It certainly is a chord, but it sounds a bit maybe too out there. So today I'll show you just some of the ones I really like playing, and of course you can then explore all of them. So the next one useful for me up would have to be F, so on the 8th fret of the 5th string. And so we still have our F major because we have a major third, but then check this out. Very out there, this sound, but if we analyze it, we still see that we have a major 7th and then we have a 9th on the G. And so this chord is actually a major 9, F major 9. Really cool, right? Now let's go up 2 more frets to G, and we'll find a very simple chord actually. It's a G sixth, because the open string on the 3rd, the G, is the same as the root, so it's not going to add anything to the proceedings, but the open E gives us the 6th of the chord. So this is a simple G sixth with no 5th. Sounds very, very airy, right? Very spacious. You can certainly use this for a light strumming, you know, and on top you can do your melodies. It's a beautiful chord. Now we're going to go up to A now. The E of the A is a simple 5th, so it's not going to do much, and the G is a 7th. So this chord actually, it's a very simple A7 chord. You can use it in a blues thing, maybe with the bass, playing your A, and it sounds different. It sounds a bit out there, but still it's a strict A7 chord. The last one is a bit weird, but I like it. It's on the 13th fret, so it's B flat, and it sounds like this. Pretty cool. And what's happening here is that we have the G, which is a 6th of B flat, so we have B flat 6th, and then we have the E, which is the sharp 11. And there are probably a few names for this. I'll just call it B flat 6, sharp 11. So this probably won't sound good strumming, right? But if you arpeggiate it, you can get some pretty mysterious sounds. So that's it for our Cs. Let me play them all for you in sequence, and so you can memorize them and then play them and see what you think of them. Those are some beautiful chords, aren't they? Let's do the same thing now with something even simpler. Let's use power chords. Power chords, as you all know, are simply root, fifth, and sometimes a repeated root below the fifth, which is what we're going to do now, actually. And I would like you to play this as low as possible on the second fret, B. This would be a B fifth chord, which comes from the full B minor and B major bar chord. But we don't want bar chords today, so let's just stick to the fifth and add those two open strings, the second and first, to it. Right? So this would actually be a B power chord, no pun intended, plus a G and an E. What does that mean? Well, let's check it out. We have the B. The B repeats on the second string, so nothing to add there, but then we have an E. And the E is the fourth. And because the power chord is not major nor minor because it doesn't have a third, this is actually a B sus4 chord. Beautiful sounding, extremely simple to play. Now let's move it up one fret to C fifth. And again, let's add those two notes. Now, the E here on the first string is my major third, which makes it major. And then we have the B, which is the major seventh. So this is another very simple chord. It's a C major seventh. But in a beautiful voicing, right? Sounds really open and mysterious. I love this chord. Now, if I move it up two more frets to D, this is our D power chord. And we add a B and an E. What does that mean to the chord? Well, the B is a sixth, and the sixth is a very common note to add to a major or minor chord. But in this case, this is not a major or minor chord because it's a power chord. And so the E is a second, and I would call this chord D6 sus2. That's the name I will give it. I think it's an appropriate name, and it sounds pretty good. So let's call this D6 sus2, and let's move it up two more frets to E now. And this is very interesting. The E power chord is made up of only E and B. And the open strings below are still B and E, and therefore this stays an E power chord. But it sounds more open, of course, and richer than this. So if you ever need a 5 chord that's lush, you can try this one. Okay, so E5. And then let's move it up one more fret to F for this beautiful sound. Right, this is an F chord plus a B and an E. The E makes it major seventh, and the B is a sharp 11. So this is one of my favorite chords. In any shape, it's the major 7, sharp 11. You might have heard me talk about this chord and play it here, which is one of my favorite shapes, but still, same thing. And you can play Lydian on top of this and thank me later. Now let's move it very quickly up two more frets to G. G is interesting but very simple. The B adds the third that was missing from the power chord, so it makes it major. And the E is a 6, so this is G6. You notice now how we're getting higher and higher with the fretted strings, and we're getting lower and lower comparatively with the open strings, which are actually not moving, of course. And this creates some interesting voicings, but maybe a bit harder to manage in the context of a song. So you can, of course, explore any other basic chord and move that around and find more consonants, so to speak, or more usable shapes. But let's continue with the last one, A fifth, which we can play down here actually. Add these two notes, which are the fifth E and the second B, and we have a very simple A sus2. Beautiful. So here's all our chords starting from the power chord. I'm actually going to start with this last one we saw and work my way up and play all of them for you. This video, of course, is barely scratching the surface of this concept. You can certainly apply this to any chord shape anywhere on the fretboard, and there's literally thousands of them. So make sure you let me know in the comments below if you've come up with something amazing, or if you want to keep it to yourself for your next big song. I'll understand. I hope you've enjoyed the video and learned something new. If you did, maybe consider liking and subscribing. It really helps a lot because YouTube is a weird sea to navigate. Thank you so much. If you're on my Patreon, you'll be able to download all this in a PDF, of course, for your reference. And I'll do a little extra video for you during the week so we can get into a bit more detail on this. No matter what, though, I look forward to seeing you all very soon for the next video. Bye-bye.